Hello everyone, this is the Paper Princess, and a couple days ago I posted a new album I have. It's called The Sound of Spring. It's a floral themed album. Really beautiful. Got a lot of compliments, so thank you very much everyone. And today we'll get started making the base of this book. It doesn't take very long, and once you have the skill, you'll be able to make any book any size you want. So what you're gonna need real quick before we get started, you'll need a piece of Tyvek, and I just took a USPS mailer envelope and cut a piece out of it. So they're free at the post office. You can grab a couple of those. I'll use them in every time I make a base album. I have 1.5 inch black bookbinding tape, and this helps the paper not crack because you're going to be opening and closing and bending it a lot, and this really helps it, and it just looks nice and professional. So you'll like that. We have score tape. The most common size I use on the pages is 3/8 of an inch. When we're making the base album, we need a bigger roll to cover it just because you'll be using an awful lot of this 3/8 inch. So any size, like I have a 4-inch roll, I have a 2-inch roll, just a bigger size so it'll go quicker would be handy. You need a bone folder, something to pick off the backing of the tape. You can use a Cricut tool. This is from Creative Memories. I have a tear tool here that I just made myself, just a square piece of like a polymer plexiglass kind of material with a phone pop dot on top, and a scoreboard, and scissors, your basic items. So what we're gonna do first, I'm gonna show you the cutter that I used real quick. I haven't showed you this before, but I got a Carl cutter here, and it cuts the chipboard easily. So that has been handy. I used to go and have, wherever I bought the chipboard, they'd cut it for me, but I haven't been going out because of COVID. So I got my own cutter. It's working great. And what I did is I have, this is 8.5 by 11, 90 point chipboard. So I just had to cut 2.5 inches off of one side. So this, you'll need two pieces that are 8.5 by 8.5. And our spine is pretty thick. It's 8.5 by 3 3/4, and I did that because this album has a lot of pockets and booklets, and it gets thick real fast. So you'll be able to put pictures in and not have your book blow up huge. So it's good to have extra room. And we need our cardstock, whatever cardstock you like to use. You don't have to use black. You could use something that goes with the paper, a green or a blue. But I chose black here. So let's get started with that. What you'll need is 2 pieces of 12 by 12. And since this book has a little thicker spine, we'll need to cut an extra piece. So this is 4 by 12. So what we're gonna do first, if you have a score runner or a scoreboard, score 1/2 inch on both sides. And this particular paper that I'm using, it's got a linen on the back. This is 80-pound paper. It works the best for these books. 60-pound is a little thin. You could probably do it, but really 80 pounds is the best. This is American Crafts black cardstock. So I'm gonna put it in here and just score 1/2 inch on both sides. Okay, and I've got my flat side facing up. There's one side that's linen, and I want that facing out so you'll see it. Okay, so take our 3/8 inch tape, and I like to hold it like this. Someone told me this a while ago, and it really gives you nice control of it. So give that a try if you haven't done it before. But now I'm on my linen side facing up, where the bump is facing up. And I'm gonna run this tape across, and I am not going over that bump. That's where the paper has to bend a little. I've got my tear tool here, and I could just rip You can also cut there if you want. Okay, now every time you tape, you want to just press this down. It helps the glue really stick to the paper. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the middle of my papers here. And the way I do that is here, let's go. So I am going to fold this over like that. If I put this piece above this one, I can line it up and see that there's no space in between. There's no table showing here. So I'm going to take off this score tape. There we go. And I'm going to start at one side. I can see that it's lined up this way. There's no space here. And I'll just press one side down. Walk myself over. I have to put the paper closer. It shifts a little bit. No space, lined up, press that down. And there we go. One side is down. Okay, so next I want to put the other side down. Okay, I'm going to take this piece of my second piece and I'm just going to line it up here. Just under where that line is. That's our guide. I'm going to press that down there. Right down here. And there it is. Okay, now, this is the outside. This is going to be the outer side of our book. And these lines will be covered up with the score tape. And then we're going to put decorative paper on top, so you won't see them. Okay, so the next step, we can put this aside for a second. The next step would be taking your chipboard and your piece of Tyvek, and we're going to cover them with your score tape. So I do have a roll that's 2 inches. I've got my big old roll here that's 4 inches. Either, you know, there's other sizes, whatever works well for you. So we're going to cover the whole thing. So this, since it's so wide, the tear tool is not going to work. So I'm just going to take some scissors and cut right here. Okay. So you guessed it. This is an 8.5 inches wide and tall chipboard, and this is 4-inch score tape. So we're going to have a little bit extra left over, and I'm just going to cover that with my 3/8 inch. I'm going to get right to the edge here. If I have a teeny little bit of space here, it doesn't matter, but I want to get it all the way to the edge. Okay, looks good. And then press that down with your bone folder. This is a Teflon bone folder, which you can also get on Amazon. And I like it because the flat ones, you have to go like this. This you can hold right here, and it just works great. Feels good in your hand. It's a nice, solid, love it. Okay, so that, put aside and do our next piece. Now sometimes these really thick rolls, they're kind of hard to control, and you might get it might stick down before you're ready, and so you're not exactly straight across. It doesn't matter as long as you cover up any space. So say I put this and it was a little crooked and it kind of went like that, you would just cover whatever black space you're showing. So, and that has happened to me. So no worries. I'm just going to cover as much of this as we can. They also sell 1/2 inch. I have to find mine or order more because I think I'm out. But that's okay. This little bit will not matter. And then our spine piece. So I'm going to use 2 inch. That's okay, I'll cut that off the bottom. So I have a little bit extra here, I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, and let's press this all down. Same with our second piece. Okay, and lastly, we are going to cover our tie back. Now, I cut this to be just, it needs to stick out at least 1 inch on either side, and maybe a little bit above. No, I don't want it sticking out about. So I'm going to put a little pencil mark here. And so basically it's going to be our 8.5 inches. So 8.5 it winds up being, and where's my ruler? Be 8.5 this way and 9 inches the other way. Okay, so let's cover this up. So we are done with this big roll for now. A little bit sticking out here, so I'll trim that off. Okay. Take the 2-inch tape. Got a little piece here that I will cover with the 3/8 inch, and perfect. Okay. Okay, so let's press this down. So we are ready to go. All right, so let's bring back our black piece of cardstock here, super long cardstock. And before we go putting everything down, we want to dry fit it, make sure everything fits, lines up. And okay, so I'm going to put this all here. The first thing you want to do to make sure everything lines up, we need, let me get my cutter out of the way here real quick. So we need on the edge here, on this is the left-hand side, you need at least an inch. So I'm going to take my ruler here. This ruler is a little bit more than an inch, but I'm going to use that to put right at the edge and draw a line all the way down. Okay, if I put this here, yes, I can see I have room at the top and bottom. Okay, so this, I'll take the ruler again, go all the way to the edge. It's lined up nice and full across the bottom here. And draw a line all the way across. Okay, so the main thing, you need this right in the corner. You need this intersection because that sets off the whole rest of the book. Your front cover needs to go right in that corner. And if it's straight on this line and this line, the rest falls into place. So that's your most important thing. The next thing you need to do before you put this down, make sure, okay, this is a square piece. If I go this way, it's real stiff. If I go this way, it's kind of wonky, wobbly. I want the stiff side north and south. So I'm going to be placing it down this way. Okay, so make sure you test both of your pieces. Okay, so your stiff side is that way. And well, your spine piece will be that way because it was just a leftover piece from the 8.5. So I tested it already. It's stiff going this way. All right, so dry fitting, I'm just going to look and make absolutely sure I have enough room. What I do for the space between the front cover and the spine, you want it to be 2 thicknesses of whatever chipboard you used. So I took 2 leftover pieces, taped them together, and this is going to be my spacer. I'd put it here, it'll go like that, and like that, and I can see that I have plenty of room here at the end. My lines are all hidden underneath. They're not right at you don't want your line here where you attached your paper, you don't want that right in the space. So everything looks good. The thing is, when I dry fit it, I can notice that there's a little more space over here than I want. I want about a little more than an inch and a quarter. So I'm going to take my ruler here and just draw a line. Okay. I've got to make sure everything's lined up right so my line is straight. I'm going to draw a line, and that way I have the length of my ruler here. Let me tell you how much that winds up being. So we are going to cut off about 2.5 inches. Okay, so before we put anything down, that's why you always dry fit. You wanna, whatever you can do before you stick something down, the better. So I'm gonna cut 2.5 inches off of here. are ready to go. The first thing we want to put down is the Tyvek, not here, not our chipboard. So I'm going to just put this here just to know where our spine's going to be. It's going to go right there, the spine. So I want this Tyvek to cover and have a little bit on each side of the spine. So I'm going to hold it over top here, and I'm just going to put a little pencil mark where I want it, the edge of my Tyvek to go, right around here. Okay, so let's take off our tape backing. Okay, so here's my line, and this isn't as important if it's perfectly straight or not. You just want it in the right area. Whoopsie. No. I didn't want it that high. Real quick. Luckily, it really didn't stick down that much. My mistake. So this is undo, those of you who aren't familiar, but it takes off glue and then it becomes sticky again after like a minute or two. So that just got ahead of me and stuck down. All right. It dries as if nothing happened. So I've got my line of where I want it to be on this edge, but I want to make sure top and bottom, I want it to be around here. So just a little bit lower. Okay, so let's do this again. There we go. Not a catastrophe, even if I stuck it there, but I want this to be right by you guys, so no problem. All right, so there we go. And our next piece is going to be the front cover, and we're going to put it, like I said, right here in this corner. Testing it again for the stiff side to be north and south. All right, so before I put this down, I'm going to hold it at an angle here so nothing's going to stick except for this edge right here. But I want to line it up in this corner where I have my pencil marks intersecting. Hold it there and just slowly drop it down so you can see that it's in line with your pencil mark across the bottom. And there. I'll just press this down. So it's straight here, everything else is gonna line up. So we will have our jig ready, our two pieces taped together. Got the spine piece here. There's a little space showing. Let me just stick a piece right there. Okay. All right, so this piece, I'm gonna hold my spacer right up against the edge of the front cover here. I'm holding this at the angle again in case I just don't want it to stick down quite yet. I'm going to look so I can feel it. can feel it here against the edge of my spacer, top and bottom. I'm gonna look, it's lined up. My line on the bottom's right there, and let it down. And there's the space right there. Let's do our back cover. A lot of tape. So, test it again, make sure you got facing the right direction. I'm going to hold this against the edge here, hold this at like a 90-degree angle. I'm going to make sure it's lined up. Okay, my pencil line is right here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, I'm going to press this down. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping this. We're going to fold the top, bottom, and sides. So I want to just get the paper used to bending a little where it's going to go. Just go like this across the top, across the bottom, do the sides. There we go. And before we cut anything and put paper down, well, I'm gonna miter the corners, but before I do that, I want to tape all around the edge. And the reason for that is, you know, you're gonna be cutting off your corner here, but I want to tape it all the way, or pretty much all the way, because I want that corner piece at an angle to have tape all on it. So take your 3/8 inch tape and run it all on the bottom edge and all the way around. So we'll start here at the bottom. Okay. The sides. I don't have to go all the way to the end, but I do want to do more. So when I cut it, every little bit will have tape on it. Ooh, my tape roll is running low. Good thing I just bought some more. Came in today. Perfect timing. And then we want to do all across the bottom, sides, top of the chipboard. Whoop, there's the end. So let me get another roll of tape. Okay. will press all of this down. I mean, look how far we've come in such a short time. It really goes quick. When I first started making these, I was overwhelmed with the base book, but it really becomes so automatic after a few times. So, what we're gonna do is, I gotta cut these corners because it's gonna be like wrapping a gift. So, I wanna fold in the corners. So I purchased this miter, corner miter. It's from Colorways Art, and it's an 1/8 of an inch miter. If you don't have, see, what I would do is I'd put it like this and draw a line right here. If you don't have this, you could just take your ruler and move it out away from this corner about 1/8 of an inch. And 1/8 of an inch is 2 lines on any ruler that you have. It'd be 2 lines. So you can see and eyeball it just that much, and you could draw a line. So you don't need that miter tool necessarily. You can use just a ruler. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to be flush against that corner. You need a little bit of space so you don't have a hole there when you fold it your sides. Okay, and take your scissors and cut all your corners. Now you can see where I cut, there's tape running right up, covering every bit of that. Okay, now we've got it folded a little bit. It's used to being folded, and we're going to start at the bottom. So we will take off the tape. It's running across the bottom and the bottom part of our chipboard. Just take that off. And what you do is you start in the middle, hold it, everything steady, you start in the middle, and you're rolling it up, like roll, and your hand goes across, and you just keep rolling. Start on the table, push yourself up. And then just press this all down. And when you do that, it gives a nice crisp line going across. I have a little bend right there, that's okay. Okay, now we're going to do the top next, and we'll do the sides last, because that's the part, there's another step you have to do. All right, so I'm going to start in the middle again and fold that over. Press out all our little bubbles and wrinkles. Okay. What I want to do here too is take the edge of my bone folder right in the crease and just gently make a little indentation right there. Right over here. There. That way when you fold the paper. Okay, so next thing, I'm going to do one of our edges. So don't fold anything yet, just peel off your tape. Okay, so this is the part where you're like wrapping a present. And you know when you're wrapping a present, you fold in your corners before you fold up. What I want to do here is there's this little piece sticking out because we have our 1/8 of an inch right here. So I want to press that in before I fold this over. Like that. Press this right in. Okay, and then when I fold over, I won't have, before I stick it, I make sure I have nothing sticking out. If I didn't fold that in, I'd have a little piece sticking out right here. So I'm going to fold that, just, okay, and then press it down. Very nice. So we'll do the same thing to the other side. I'll take off my tape. And fold this in a little bit. Okay, and then when I fold over, there. And there we have it. Okay, now for the bookbinding tape. So we're going to take our 1.5 inch, 2 inches works too, and I want to cover this space right here. So this space, and it goes around to the other side. So when you make your book, your corner will have this tape on it and it won't crack. So important to know that you do not start at the top or the bottom. You want to go down a little bit when you start because you don't want to see it. So I'm going to start about 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch down. So right around here. And I'm going to just go, pull it tight as I go, and then roll over. Just pull this, try to make it as straight as you can. This isn't super sticky, so if you're not straight, you can peel it up and just try to line it up with your line here so that it is straight. Okay, and then roll it back over and end a little bit over where you started. And you will not see that. We're going to cover that up with our design paper. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, I'm going to pull this. Okay, so I'm following along here. Yep. And then I'll cut it. Wow. Voila. We made a base album. Everyone give yourselves a hand. Not so bad, eh? Now the trickier part is the hinge. It's really not that bad though, but I can't show you how to make it because I don't have a license to do that, but I'm going to give you some tips. First of all, the website you go to is Paper Phenomenon. It's www.paperphenomenon.com. That is Kathy King. She invented this hidden hinge system. And if you take one of her classes or even buy the tutorial on how to make a hinge, you will know that information forever. But what I'm going to suggest, what I always do, this is an 8.5 inch book. So I want a 1/2 inch on the top and the bottom. So the hinge would be 7.5 inches. So you'll take a 7.5 inch piece of paper by 12, let's just say, because you can always cut off whatever excess at the end. So you know from here to here it's going to be 7.5 inches. This is an 8-page book, so you need 4 hinges. So there'll be 4 hinges sticking up here. And a lot of people have trouble, they told me online, putting your pocket pages, because we're going to make the pocket pages together, and then at the end you put them on the hinge. So in order to get them to fit real easy, just cut the hinge at an angle. So like, see, like this right here, that's cut at an angle. So that helps. The other thing with my books, the pages are pretty thick. So when you're making the hinge, you don't have to have an even space between each hinge. You can make the space in the middle, which I will show you, a little wider. So I made these 3/4 of an inch. So the space in between is going to be 3/4 of an inch. If you want it to be 1/2 an inch, that would work too, but I just found that it works better if you make it a little deeper, just because my books are, pages are pretty thick. So that's all you need to do. Go ahead, and if you know how to make a hinge already, that's great. We will get started in the next video making page 1. And if you don't know how, I would absolutely suggest you go to Paper Phenomenon, because she also has lots of cool ideas. You can take tutorials, you can buy paper there. Her paper's fantastic, so it's worth checking out. So I will see you in the next video, and we'll get started making page 1. Thank you for watching.